What's up, gamers? Welcome to another exciting edition of This Week in Madden, show 104. As always, brought my co-host S. Gibbs with me to break down your Madden NFL 25 tips. You guys can actually ask questions live on the show. If you head over to twitter.com/Madden Tips, you can @ your questions right to us, and we will break them down live on the show. Gibbs, what's up this week?
Not a lot. Farls, we've been playing a lot of next-gen Madden, playing a lot of current-gen Madden, and last week we took our talents to the Best Buy tournament. And we had a nice run. Both Farls and I, we played in the Boston, Massachusetts Best Buy tournament.
The Ultimate Gamer Showdown. So basically how that's working right now is Best Buy's running a tournament series all across the U.S., a bunch of different locations you can go to qualify to. There was New York City earlier last Monday, and San Francisco, and then last week, Wednesday, was Boston and L.A. So we competed in the Boston Challenge. S. Gibbs made it all the way to the Final Four. He was on the other side of the bracket from me. I was able to, he lost there in a tough game, but he made it all the way, made it pretty far in the round of 64. I made it to the finals and ended up also losing 7-3.
We lost to the same guy.
Got a late game interception, 7-3 with the Seahawks, but ultimately fourth down, pass to the tight end. He was open, fell short. Did win a $500 Best Buy gift card, so that was exciting, and it was good to get the competitive juices. It was a great tournament for Best Buy. It's only the second Madden tournament I've ever been to that ended on time. So you got to give them props for that.
It did end on time. It was a good turnout, great competition. The guy we lost to was a great competitor, so a lot of fun.
Still tournaments for that. I believe on the 16th of December is the finals for the 8 people that make it in Cowboy Stadium, Jerry's World, up on the Jumbotron. So that will be pretty sweet to play on the world's biggest TV screen. I believe the Midwest, like Chicago, Minneapolis, Atlanta, are still coming up. Some of them have already happened, but some are coming up tonight, or maybe possibly tomorrow as well. So search Ultimate Gamer Showdown on Best Buy, and you'll be able to find the information on the tournaments. But it was a very good event and a lot of fun, free to play, and we had a great time.
That was the best part, free to play. And you show up, you get to play, and you get to play in a competition. You get a chance to go and win some prizes. It's kind of cool. 500
smackers. All right, that is it for right now. We are going to be live streaming this whole show tonight on twitch.tv/Prima Games. So head over there, join the chat, ask your questions. I got Jameel Reef in the chat. I got Jay Wilson III. I got Dark Wickus is in here. A lot of dudes hanging out, asking questions. So hang out with us. All the tips we covered tonight will work on Xbox One and PS4, the next-gen versions of the game, unless we otherwise specify, but they will also work on Xbox 360, which we have right here. So we have both consoles set up to be switched, all by Tech Guy. We got your questions, and we're going to break it down. We're going to start on Xbox One over here and give you a run-and-gun scheme. Now, this question was asked specifically by my man, So Amazing, and I didn't even write down the question because I just knew that he needed this breakdown.
I like it.
He needed me to fly in some tips from the run-and-gun playbook. So here is a run-and-gun scheme. This is on Xbox One, but it will work on Xbox 360 and PS3 as well. So as you can see here, this has our favorite formation in the game, single back ace. If you want to run the ball, we recommend single back ace because this is balanced formation in the play halfback zone weak. You already know this, and we're not going to waste much of your time teaching you how to run it. This run is much better on Xbox 360 and PS3, but it's still going to work effectively if you have a good team with an offensive line, just like the Seahawks do here. So you can run this play pretty consistent, and like we say, the best part about this play is either Marshawn Lynch or the fact that it's so balanced you can just press X, R2. You can quickly flip your play and run it right to the other side without the defense really knowing what you're up to. So that would be my run for this formation. What I would also do along with this is I'll choose new play. I would like to have a quick hitting pass play, and that this is something that we have recommended on Xbox 360 but also works on this game too. You're going to want the play wide receiver screen from single back wide trips. Gibbs, how do we like to set this one up?
One thing you really want to focus with this is I like to make sure this is against a zone specifically, but if you are going to run this, you want to typically place the far right receiver on a out pattern, or you want to place him on a drag. That's the number one thing I'll do. And if I put him on an out, I'll smart route it. And then the most important part is the swing to the halfback.
So we're going to push Y, and we're going to kick it with the right stick right to Lynch. So this play is designed to go to the wide receiver, Tate. However, we are going to throw it to Lynch. Lynch, not the best halfback for catching, but you get the idea here. If they're blitzing or if it's a zone, you're going to want to flick it quickly to Lynch. Quicker than I just did right there. And you can pop it over the top of the defense for a nice set ball on the field. And it's a great way to play on like third in the red zone. We'll take a super quick look at this play. You'll see these linemen are going to get out in front. You're going to just, yes, you're not going to block that defender, so you got to look out for him, but you can then flip it. We get good blocking downfield, and we go for reservations for 6. We'll go back here one more time. We'll get a nice passing play from Shotgun Gibbs. One of the plays I always like, and we've always talked about it, is gun tight flex wide receiver cross.
Absolutely.
Now in next gen, it's not quite as effective as it is, but it's still a good play because it has great concepts.
I would recommend coming out in the read option from the tight flex. I like that you have a read option in this formation, and you have a quick audible up, which is the wide receiver cross, and that gives you some flexibility with your plays. You want to run the read option as kind of like the base player from this formation. You read that end, and then you go off, give the ball, run the ball. Now, when you want to get into a passing mode, I like to go to the wide receiver cross, which is the audible up. And one thing I like to do, guys, is I like to motion out that wide receiver. I like to motion him out to the left here. So Farls motion curse, motion him out to the left, so that if you do get a man-to-man situation, you're going to be able to have great success beating him over the middle of the field. Then you also have quick outlets to the right and the left. Halfback on that wheel pattern is a great little pass.
Yeah, one way you're going to get a lot better, guys, is if you use this halfback route as a quick throw. If you consistently force your opponent to cover your halfback there, I know a lot of people that use these halfback routes but don't actually throw it.
Right.
So you got to make sure that you throw the route. Otherwise, you're going to actually get yourself into a lot of trouble by just not blocking him but not also having a quick outlet for him. This is the run and gun playbook. This tip's from a man so amazing who was at both. He went to New York City and Massachusetts Best Buy Challenges.
He did. And so this is, these are obviously the play you'd come out, and if you're going to set an audible, one thing I would recommend about this here is there's one play, it's called slot wheel from this gun tight flex formation, and this play is extremely difficult to defend as well. So if you get a situation where you want to play like a user catch game, so what you see here before, we were motioning curse out with the wide receiver cross. So show that one more time. Motion him out, so if you get man-to-man, they'll absolutely destroy that defender, and it's a quick read over the middle of the field for you. Now, to complement that motion, what we do is we come out in this slot wheel. And the way we set this play is up, we streak the X receiver, and then we drag the far right receiver.
Is this your Jordy Nelson play from a few years ago?
The Jordy Nelson play, exactly.
Yeah, he used to throw Jordy Nelson on this route a lot. I would probably put Rice there in the long term, but he would just huck this ball downfield to Jordy Nelson, click on, and go make a catch.
And you're just looking, it's a user catch route. You're not looking for anything really else out of this play. Again, the way you set this up is just you're making your opponent think one thing with the motion, and then the drag cuts over the middle of the field. Now this play you run it, and he cuts now to the deep sideline, and it's a very tender area right there. You got to hold on to the ball. That's why you want a guy like Rice there. With the Packers, I use Jordy Nelson because he had great catch in traffic, good jump. He's able to make consistent plays down that sideline.
So those are 2 plays for you. Last note on the run and gun playbook here on Xbox One is you have the gun heavy formation. So, I like this play Z streak. It's got corner routes to the tight end. You can put an out to X route, and it's really just a tight formation that can cause a lot of trouble for your opponent. You can put Y on a streak. You can put RB on a wheel, on a flat, on a streak. That's really up to you how you want to run this play, but you can rumble with the quarterback pretty nicely. You can throw those to the tight end. Hopefully you get a good throw if you're patient in the pocket. But just look at this formation. It just causes trouble, and it's something you can think about quite a bit if you want to run this playbook. It's something that this book.
If you are setting up a defense and it's required that you use baseline, you're going to struggle with trying to get that set up in. So one thing we always talk about, like if we show blitz out of 2 men under, you're not going to have success by showing blitz and then doing the coverage behind it, because you will not be able to. The game doesn't allow you to do it. The game does not allow you to do it.
All right, guys, we should be back up here. If you're in the chat, just let us know. Stream should be working much better for you. And Tech Guy is working on it, so don't even worry about it. Give the Tech Guy a shout out in the chat. We will start over with this tip because this actually is a pretty good tip, something you want to know for sure. As you can see here, we are in the Xbox 360 version of the game, and you'll be able to see I am in, so we'll reset the play, hike it, and we'll just reset. We'll go straight from off the jump.
Straight stock.
What base aligning is going to do is, to do it, you push Y, and then you push right on the left stick. And that's going to make your guys line up in the same area every time, regardless of the formation that they're going up against. So if you are facing a certain formation, you can know that you're going to get the same thing. That's why we like to do it against blitzes and things of that sort. But this is going to limit you from being able to shade receivers. So if you were going to run an out to Manningham, another way I like to stop outs is to press Y, A, B, and then I like to use the right stick to shade Manningham. I would shade him out if it was going to be an out. I'd shade him in if it was going to be a slant. So as you can see here, I can no longer do that because I base aligned. So that's actually a pretty good tip. So here's why that's a good tip. Because if your opponent base aligns to set up his blitzes, you can run an out without fear that your opponent is going to set up a shade to the out to throw to stop it.
Right, and the other thing I would say too about this, so I'll grab the controller here, is you can't, I'm pretty sure that you cannot shade more than one receiver. So here if I have two outs, let's see if I'm right or if I'm wrong here. I'm shading both outside guys. No, you can. So you definitely can. So you can, this year it's different. This year you can shade more than one receiver. Let's take a look at a show blitz situation. If you show blitz, can you shade a receiver?
That's going to bring the safety down into the box and kind of just make it a more aggressive look, and some people use it to bring pressure.
So let's take a look, see if we get the result with Manningham. It let me do it, but he did not actually break out, I don't think.
He did on this side.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay. On that side, it didn't look like he did.
Try it again. He definitely did on the left. And you'll notice it's great for stopping outs if you shade out. It's great for stopping slants if you shade in. So yeah, you see right here.
Yeah, he did there too on that side.
Yeah.
All right, so you can do it with a show blitz. You cannot do it with a baseline. So that's the final verdict.
And a good question from HHF admin, who's HH Football Picks. Can you tell him what man align is. It's not, can you man align and then shade an out? Because man align, it would actually be really good.
So here's man align right here. This would be man align. This is the man align you mean, right?
So the only time you can man align is when you're in basically a cover zero blitz. This guy who would be lined up as a safety, fake in his position, Gibson would then come down.
And see, that's where I don't see man-to-man coverage. It doesn't really do anything. Because if you go to a shaded coverage on just a regular man-to-man coverage right here, you see because he's playing deep, he can't get like underneath the out.
There's nowhere to like shade his out.
Right. It almost looks like he took a step outside there. You can see here, Farls, but then he drifts away. He doesn't really get into position to really make a play on the ball. So if I were to, let me try pressing. Let me man align and press.
So man align will bring everybody down to cover their guy. Then we'll press.
I wonder if that will do anything.
Because then they're going to kind of trail it, you would guess.
Let's see. Oh, I got good press. I got
X did it.
No, so here's the problem here. Here's the problem. This is the problem if you press. It's a dice roll, right? So you don't really know what type of press you're going to get. So look what ends up happening. On the left side, I get a beat press. Well, he can't shade there. He's in a beat press. Now he's trying to recover.
No, he recovers in shades, though.
Did he?
Yeah. Watch where he goes.
A little bit.
No, he does.
Yeah. Did he, though?
Yeah.
He's over the hip, though. And then let's take a look at this guy.
It's more about where they go when they trail. Like look, he's going to fight to get back to the right of 82. Right there. He wouldn't never get on that hip if it wasn't, I don't believe.
Right. But is it going to work effectively? That's my question.
And this is something else we've talked about. If you press your defense,
see, it doesn't work.
You don't mind facing an out because it's actually you could mispress and it actually doesn't hurt you that bad.
It's probably a great way to play man-to-man defense and stop out. See, I shaded him there. I don't think it really works very well. I don't think it.
So basically, do it from 2 men under, and you can't base a line.
2 men under.
2 men under, and don't base a line.
Right.
So that's what I would go with for that. So that's something that you can try out. That's a good question. That's something to note. I was doing some heavy shading. If somebody throws an out on me once, I pretty much shade them the rest of the game. it seems like it's a lot of buttons to set up, but it's honestly just YAB right, YAB or YAX
that seems like a lot, but again, what you were saying that is important.
Right.
Think of it this way, guys. It's intimidating to think defensively to shade a guy, but is it intimidating to say, I want to hot route the Y receiver to a slant, right? So to do that, I have to hit Y, and right. There's one more button press to shade.
Right.
It's just the icon of the defender.
It's just knowing that you want to do it and just doing it every time. So
and then finding out the receiver's icon. That's the other part, because receivers based on formations can change. So you could get him to be a B receiver one time, and then he's an X receiver the next time. So you got to recognize that. All
right. Good question.
Great question.
Let's take a look here at our next mailbag question. I know we have a lot more good ones coming up tonight. And reminder, you can ask all your own questions on Twitter at Madden Tips, and we'll take a look at those later.
Or post it in the chat, guys. We are live on the Prima Games Twitch channel, and throw your questions in there. We can answer them there on the fly as we go.
All right, this one's coming in from JPetro49. How can you one wide receiver screens effectively? Do you have to hot route blockers?
All right, so we actually just showed, this show is, we're mostly right now we're going on Xbox 360. These tips will work on Xbox One and PS4, but we're basically running them on Xbox 360. We'll note if they won't work. So we just showed a nice tip from single back wide trips, which will be on the archive tomorrow on YouTube, but we'll actually show you another tip here on wide receiver screens for Jay Petro, who just turned in for his question.
Right, so a great way to run wide receiver screens in Madden 25 on Xbox 360 and on next generation systems. You kind of got to figure out, is your opponent running man or are they running zone? So one good way, and one thing I've seen a lot of people do to me actually this year, is they come out in a 5-wide set, and because I play so much zone coverage, I leave myself wide open to these 5-wide empty wide receiver screens. There's really no adjustments needed. It's just I play a lot of heavy blitzing defenses, and if you play a blitzing defense, you're going to leave the wide receiver screen wide open. So that's the number one adjustment, I guess, if you're going to call it, that you have to make this wide receiver screen effective, is if you have to recognize, are they playing man-to-man or are they playing zone coverage?
You got to call it at the right time, you know.
Right. So if you're noticing, oh, they're playing a ton of zone coverage and they're blitzing, it's so effective that it's kind of a shame that we don't, as a community, don't use it enough. It's so effective. It reminds me of Madden 09 and how effective wide receiver screens were back then. But the problem is why people don't use it as much is because if you face 2-man under, it immediately becomes one of the worst plays in the game.
Right. Watch what Hayden did at the snap of the ball. And if you remember on Twim 101, I know S. Gibbs will never forget, the last play before the half, he threw a wide receiver screen. I was in 2-man under, and then they were able to throw the ball. I was able to pick it off for a TD. So, as you can see here with 2-man under, what Hayden wants to do in 2-man under is get behind Anquan Bolden. I know that doesn't make sense. Well, if he's covering him, why would we want to be behind him? Because he wants to get in trail technique because he has safety help over the top. So he's trying to get there. Yes, he gets blocked, but I mean, that's not a throw you want to make if you're not just showing that.
And then if you get that gather animation there, you're in trouble. Go back to that man-to-man for me. Now, obviously, one good thing about this is it has a nice corner route built in, so that's a perk. But here's the problem with that, right? If I wait on that corner route, it's going to be a tough position for me to make that throw. And I'll tell you this: on next gen, you have way less time in the pocket, because those defensive linemen, they crash in on you so hard on screens where they fight through the blockers and they get after the quarterback. So you have to get the ball out quick. And you just don't want to – it's not good against 2-man under, and even against like a cover 2. So if you audible to a cover 2 zone here, it's just really not a good option. So here's the cover 2 zone. It's
going to be a flat zone down.
The flat zone just muddies it. Like,
just sits there.
It's right. And I'll say this. You got a chance to potentially block him, but you also have a chance of bad things happening. Here, cover 3, I'll take my odds against this. See, he got destroyed, and I'm gone, but it's still a scary throw there.
Right.
And the number one adjustment we always say, if you're facing a wide receiver screen or a halfback screen, what do we tell you to do? Put a flat over there, because it just muddies it makes it congested in that area. You want more defenders in that area. Number one, takes blockers up, and yes, I just beast moded it.
But yes, I also beast moded.
Right. So if you want to have success running wide receiver screens, the most important thing you can do is run it against a person that plays heavy zone blitzing defense. So show me that zone blitzing defense one more time, Farls. And then snap of the ball. you see how there's no one over there there's no one over there. There's nobody. I mean, that's Anquan Bolden, and I'm getting a 20-yard gain, and this is going to be consistent every time against the zone blitz, every time, because the zone blitz, it can defend a lot of areas of the field, but it struggles immensely at defending the flat.
Right. So here's basically the biggest tip is just get, if they call 2-man under, like Gibbs said, you got to throw to this corner route or look to the drag, but you also got to be well aware that this on the right side of the screen, the guys are pulling, so they're not going to be there for you to block very long. So you need to be ready to get rid of it. So basically, how you would stop that is, you call 2-man under, you'd send it left, you'd want to shade Baldwin over the middle, and then look to stop it. But
a quick pro tip here to open that screen up for you, I personally think, is if you start throwing a lot of outs, or if you have the play stick and nod from this formation, which is absolutely a man destroyer, you start throwing a lot of outs from this formation and they're not shading and you just start crushing them on the outside, that's going to open up and make your opponent probably start playing a little more zone, and they're going to go down like a cover 2 sink, they're going to play a little cover 3, so it's going to open the screen up for you, so you kind of set the screen up by beating the man-to-man consistently, and then they're going to check down to zone, and it's also a fabulous play call against cover 4 zone. Fabulous play call.
Yep, because they don't have any flats out there. All right, so that's how you run the screen. It's got to be the right play. And something that I've been noticing people do is just with the new hot route where you can actually just smoke route. I know Problem broke it down a bunch in his pistol offensive guide, which is in the winner's kit, so I won't go too much in depth with it. But hey, if you're playing cover 3 and you're just dropping guys back and you're calling heavy blitzes, hit them. I mean, you're going to get 5 yards, 7 yards, but you got to make them respect you, you know what I mean? All right, here we go. Let's take a look at our next mailbag question coming in. What do we got, Tech Guy?
This one's coming in from Jarmania. Do you need to hot route all stock plays to have success?
So Jarmania's question was about hot routes and stock routes, and can you just he said in real life they just call real plays, they don't hot route all the time. Is that true in Madden? I say yes.
Yeah, here's the thing. In real life, they have their hot read. And so I guess you could say that in Madden, like you're going to make a hot read is I'm going to put my halfback on a wheel pattern, and if it's a blitz, I'm going to check down to him and get him the ball on the flat. So that's kind of like the hot read. Whereas in Madden, we really take it a step further where we can hot route multiple receivers to kind of all be a safety valve against specific coverages.
So, yeah, I mean, let's talk about the hot routes in this game right now. So, Gibbs is in a spread formation. We'll go to Xbox One. Let's go to Xbox One and break it down real quick. If you come out in a spread formation, I'm not sure which one he saw of us play or who he's watched play, but if I come out in a spread, I'm always coming out as a pro tip. I'm always coming out in a play with 2 corner routes because I can't get corner routes as a hot route.
Can you say it for me one more time and say it really slow and really emphasize it?
So if you're coming out in a play, so his question, do you need hot routes to win? How come stock plays aren't good? Well, I always come out in smash corners or play with corner routes as my base play. I always come out in it, even if I don't think I'm going to call it, because I can't make hot routes that are corner routes from the slot. Just don't exist. There's no hot route to get Y and A to do what they're doing right now. So I want to use stock plays that have unique routes on the play. I can't make a halfback run an angle route. There's no way I can push any buttons to make him run that. So I want to come out in these plays with these 3 routes that are good. Yes, I do use outs to beat certain coverages. Yes, I use drags, but those are just basic routes. Those could be on any play. It's just based on what I see on the defense. There's plays that have the outside receiver on a drag that I could just come out in, but when I get to the line, I want to check it out and see what's going on. So
to maximize your play calling and really your game overall, you need to start looking for routes that you cannot hot route.
Back here live on This Week in Madden, show 104. Just restart the stream. Should be pretty fresh for you. And thanks for hanging out in the chat. No worries. We'll get over these technical difficulties. Our fault here. So let's take a look here at the next mailbag question coming in. Let's see who we have.
Next mailbag.
All right, this one's coming in from Michael. What is the best kickoff this year? Last year I had 99 special teams.
So we have a brand new kickoff. We'd like to share. Gibbs got the pro tip. So he'll, as a reminder, you can always go into practice mode and just lab special teams. So you just got to hit the button and then just run through a play real quick, and that will set you up into pretty nice practice mode where you can just lab kickoffs and do all the work that you can.
So one of the best ways to have 99 special teams in Madden NFL 25 is by doing the special kick that I've dubbed with my name, the Gibbs kick. And what you want to do is you can pick kickoff left or kickoff right. It doesn't really matter to you, but for this example, we're picking kickoff left. And what I recommend doing here is aiming the meter all the way up and then aiming it all the way to the left. I also like to throw the arrow a little bit to the right, just a little bit. You probably didn't even notice it on the screen, but I did move it a little bit to the right. And then what I like to do here,
once you got it all the way
once
left,
you got it all the way left,
baby, back
this is
to the
to
right.
avoid it going out of bounds. I will tell you this: you have a good chance of kicking out of bounds, but here's what's going to happen: you give them the ball at the 40. I'm okay with that. We're trying to get hit sticks here on our opponent. So step one of this is you just flick the stick down and let it go. And what I'm trying to do is just get down there as quick as possible and try and get a hit on the ball carrier. There, I completely missed. But hey, it's giving my team a chance at another hit stick. There's, you see that little flick to the right. It's giving my team a chance to get a hit stick, a fumble, something weird to happen, and that's what we want. That's what we're trying to accomplish there. And there, I missed it, and that's the name of the game. You're giving up a threat of potentially giving them a little more yards with this kick.
And so you like to put your number 3 kicker or your number 3 cornerback with a heavy hitter? Do you like to do that, or
yes.
Or you like to mess around with
Absolutely.
your depth chart at all, just to see where you can get guys in?
Here's the move. Your number 2 left outside linebacker is going to end up being the linebacker that rushes down on the left side of the field here. So you would want to put Pat Willis, if you're using the Niners, on that spot, because you're going to end up getting more hit sticks with him. And it's extremely, extremely effective when you get a guy like Pat Willis. And there was the big hit stick with Kasim Osgood there.
Now, how is this Gibbs kick different from your kick last year?
The kick last year was a little bit different because we moved it a little bit more inside. And what we did there was, remember, we turned the controller like this, right? We turned it this way, and we kicked it like that. We wanted a sideways kick angle.
Yep.
And what I've seen from this kick is that it kicks it inside a little too much, and it makes it a little bit harder for me to get down to the return man to make a play on him.
Now,
so that's what I don't like about it.
One tip I would say is if your opponent's going to start fair catching the ball, so say they know that they took a hit stick on the first kick of the game, and they're just going to come up, hit the Y button, take the fair catch, you should kick it a little further down the field. You should put a little more power into it, because then you can actually get them to fair catch it at like the 35-yard line, and that's pretty nice.
Yeah, and I would say move it all the way over, up, and move all the way to the left. I'd move it down a little bit, and then I move it a little bit more this way again. You want a little bit more down because you're going to go a little more juice, and you want to try and pin them in the corner. That's the idea with ZFarls, because you want them to fair catch that by mistake.
You want it maybe like to land like right here.
Okay.
If you're going to get
a little less juice.
You still want it to go to their up guys, but you just don't want to give them a fair catch at the 35. You want to get them like a fair catch at like the 30 or like the 25.
So I'll go there, and then I'll put that much juice on it.
Yeah.
Try that.
Right about there. That way they're like, okay, I'm going to go fair catch. Here they're
potentially fair catch it there.
Yeah, that's the idea, but you want to work on that. I do it a little differently, but I like it. I like the idea behind that. Other notes on next gen, guys. If you're playing next gen Madden 25 on Xbox One, PS4, kick deep down the middle, and go cover your kick. You can't do good returns with your ability to cut. So just kick down the middle and just lock up again. It's like back to regular. So do that. Kick me deep.
Kick you deep?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is regular
Xbox
360. This cut outside. This is what people are worried about. They take their guy, they run him over, run straight up, and then try and get outside like that.
That's right.
That does not exist. I'll show you exactly what doesn't exist. This was all left stick. There was no right stick involved in the returning of this. There's no injuries in the returning of this video. So right here, I plant, I cut, and I just get outside. Miller, who's the guy on the edge, they get poked inside, and you're able to get to the edge. Without Greg Little, that's probably a bigger return. But that's what people are afraid of. On next gen, there's not that cut. It's a juke that can get you outside there, but it takes so long to juke that guys can't.
You just don't have the same cut to make. And why I'm actually doing the kick to the right now, Farls, because there's not as many defenders on the right when I do this kick on 360. So it's a little bit easier to get down there to make a play. And most people now are used to they're used to the kick to the left side of the field.
Yeah.
So I switch it up on them.
And how I would counter it is I'd grab whichever way I think he's kicking it, I'd take the guy from the other side in the middle and just run him over at the snap of the ball. I ran him the wrong way there, but
Oh, how about that counter?
so that would be the move that you want to do. Is you want to take either, take anybody you can get your hands on, whether it's Martin, and just run him backwards. Don't do it right as they kick it because you'll run forwards. Wait for him to run back, but just get him here, square him up, and hopefully you can block him and you can get a big return. So that's how I counter it. But I tend to just try and run out of bounds or get a fair catch.
Here's the thing, too.
I'll take the 40 yards.
Here's the thing, too, guys. You can get absolutely burned with this. I'll tell you that right now. You can get burned. I've given up some long runs where I've given them field position. Like right here, I'm thinking, okay, at worst, they're going to get the ball at the 40. That was the exact example that I wasn't hoping that was going to happen. That just happened.
Kobe.
And you got to know that this isn't a perfect play, that it's not going to work every single time for you, especially if you're running down just trying to lay a hit stick. You have a chance to give up a big play. So just know that going into it, and also know that if it does happen to you, there are ways to counter it. And there's some guys out there really, really good at countering it.
So
like Farls, what Farls was doing.
Yeah, I don't mind the short kick. I say kick short all day. I'm probably not going to score a TD like I would if you kick it deep, but Xbox One, kick deep, 360, do the kick of fury. Try and work those hit sticks and lay it down on your opponent. All right, here we go. Next mailbag question. What do we got, tech guy?
This one's coming in from Smokey the Bear. How do you defend someone who likes to roll out and draw in man and zone coverage?
All right, so here's a good question, and we'll go to 360 for it. Basically, the question is, your defenders will sometimes get sucked in towards the line of scrimmage, and they can pop it over the top of your defense. So how do you avoid that from happening? What can you do to defend downfield? You're going to give up one thing or the other, potentially. So
right. So I'll take you have a recommendation on defense here first, if you want to go over that, and then I'll show you kind of what I like to do.
Put QB spies out there. Don't rely on the zones. Like, you do it with jet sweep better than anybody else.
Right.
How you are able to get flat zones to draw your attention and then dumped over the top.
I think one good way
I would pass commit, obviously, but
right. One good thing that you can do, I think that especially worked well. I came out in a tight set on purpose. Is that if you base align here, I always hate seeing this. I always hate seeing someone that base aligns and they leave the defense like that against a tight set. It just makes me feel uncomfortable. Because when you're in a tight set, you feel like you have so much space on the sideline to throw against. But when they base align, they leave the defenders wide, it kind of freaks me out that I don't have that same space. So right off the bat, that's something I would potentially try. Does that make your opponent kind of think that they can't get out wide and they can't suck your defenders in by rolling out or whatever? The other step that you could do is what Farls was saying. You place quarterback spies, you place contains out there so don't let them roll out. And I think the easiest thing to do would be just to send pressure at them. Don't let them roll out. Or send pressure from their strong arm side. Send pressure, if it's quarterback on the right side, send pressure off his right edge. Make him roll to that weak side, left side. And that's a very easy way to do it. If I see I have pressure off this right edge, it's coming at me, I have to go this way, and where am I going with the ball? I can't set my feet and make a good throw. So that's something that can be super easy to do.
So maybe a contain and a blitz and then drop and play.
So here's the play.
Definitely contain their strong arm as much as you can.
But you want to force them to the short side of the field as well. So we've talked about that many, many times before. The short side of the field, that means where the ball is on the hash. So here you can see the ball's on the left hash mark. I want to force him away from the right side of the field. I should be setting my blitz up off the right edge because I don't want him to go to the open side of the field. That's the part of the field that he has the most area to work with. I want to force him to the left. He's going to have to roll left, and now I don't have many routes running that way, but it makes it more difficult for me to fit throws in. If I'm running a bunch formation on the left here, there's no way I can fit routes in on this side of the field. If you're bringing pressure off that right edge and it just gets tight over there, what was that, a hook zone?
Buzz.
That was a buzz zone, and it went over and it played it very well. And that was a crazy jump.
Now, if you're playing two-man under, then they're going to be able to scramble against you all day. So if your
That's
opponent,
your patented move, right?
Yeah, if your opponent's going to play two-man under and you have a nice spread offense, you can just take off at the snap of the ball and hopefully get downfield because your guys are going to be.
Really? Where was that, TJ Ward, last week? I could have used that last week on Rob Gronkowski, Ward.
Let's take a look at that hurdle real quick, huh? So, two-man under, your guys are going to turn their back. So if you are facing a scrambling quarterback, you do want to play zone. I understand the dilemma of your guys getting like sucked into the play.
That was pretty good. He actually cleared both of them. That was like the Jacoy Bell jump this week as well. He did another one.
Pretty dope. So yeah, if they play 2 men under, you can run all day. So play zone. I get that your guys are going to get sucked in here. You know, we'll put Gore. This should work. You know, your flat zone in that the flat zone plays neither. So
Right.
I don't know what to tell you. You got to just kind of user it and
try a cover 2 and keep them wide. That's pretty wide there, right? I mean, he got sucked in a little bit there, yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's going to happen if you play zone, but it's still better than playing man, way
Right.
better. And
Man, you have no hope.
user it and then click on. Click on and either rush or click on and drop back. Like, you got to make a choice.
And the other thing that you got to know too is if they scramble wide like that, you got to make sure that you have 2 pass rushers coming at the tackles, because what ends up happening is if they do scramble, you're going to get a disengage. So you're going to get one. It's just that's how it is. Like, watch, disengage. Click onto him. I clicked onto the Hayden there that time in the flat. I like that because then he's not going to get sucked into the flat.
You either got to do something or do nothing, you
Right.
know, or wait and play it. So, you know, that's something I'd like to see added to the game in the future, where you can choose, hey, do you want your guy to attack the quarterback right away, or do you want him to drop back and play and let the quarterback run? At least that way you're making a decision, similar to how they added the ability to hold down L2 and key the quarterback, key the halfback on
Right.
the read option. I'd like that as well. So that's what I think. But we'll come back here. Reminder, a few more, about half an hour left of tips coming up. You can send your questions in on Twitter to @MaddenTips. And we are also
A special game of the week tonight.
special game of the week coming up, something that we're trying for one of the first times. So reminder, you can go to MaddenTips.com right now and get the winner's kit at 30% off using the code TWIM. That's TWIM as the discount code. Worth checking out. And let's take a look here at our next mailbag question.
This one's coming in from the Honey Badger. How do you stop someone who comes out in a PA play, then audibles to a run? They get extra blocking.
So this is something that we're going to just experiment with live on the show right now. I don't know if this claim is bogus
Sometimes you get
or if
claimed,
it's
yeah.
something that is realistic. So what he's saying is if you call a play action pass, then you audible to a run, you get about a half a second extra run blocking.
Okay, well, test it out. There's only one way to find out, and that's to test it.
So we're going to call PA all go.
Yep.
And then we're going to audible to the halfback dive.
And
Or halfback zone weak, which is my
Perfect.
favorite run. Perfect.
Perfect.
And we should get better run blocking, potentially.
let's see. That worked pretty good. Here, what we're going to look for is go into instant replay. We want to see if there's any type of like weird explosion at the line of scrimmage. So let's take a look. It did look like the interior of the line got a nice push.
Nice push on 59,
And then 77 got
77.
up field pretty nice.
But the Niners line, does get pretty good play. A good note in the chat, something we've known, Hate on Me says, on 360, if you come out into bubble screen, you can get better blocking on all
Yes.
runs. So
Right.
that's something that you can do to get better blocking on your runs. But here, once again, we'll audible to the zone weak, see if we get a half a second better blocking.
Let's take a look.
I mean, this run is one of our favorites in the game, so because it already has good blocking, but
I mean, so far it does look like 77's running pretty well. So we've seen how that works there. Let's go back out and just call zone weak now.
call it basic, yeah.
I'll call the same defense. You call the same play. So I'll go back into the nickel 2-4-5. I'll call 2-man under. You call the zone weak, and let's just see if there's a difference. Don't really see. I personally did not see anything different really.
Looked
I
pretty
saw.
similar.
I'm looking at the. I'm kind of focusing in on the left guard here. It's double team. He peels off.
He's doing pretty good work.
I'm not really seeing a difference.
So I don't think that there's a play action pass audible to a run extra blocking bug or anything like that.
Right. And
if you can still have good run defense, you're still going to be able to stop the run,
Right.
regardless of if they do that or
And
not.
I do think it's kind of the same thing with the PA bubble. I know people are saying that it's a theory out there that, if you call the bubble, you get better run blocking. What I've noticed, where I've seen people do the PA bubble, is they're doing it from a gun trips tight end formation, calling the PA bubble, and then they're audibling into a halfback quick base. I personally think that the halfback quick base is one of the best runs in the game. You get quick forward momentum snap of the ball. It's like an inside zone. It's like the run from last year from the Green Bay Packers playbook and the Dolphins playbook.
Yeah.
The halfback gets the ball with his momentum going forward, and then it's kind of giving people the perception that, oh, he's getting better run blocking. And I think part of the reason that people are thinking that is because when you look at PA bubbles, you see that the offensive line they're like pushing upfield. Like their play art shows them moving upfield more. And there's another run in the game. I believe it's in the Arizona Cardinals playbook. It's called single back ace or single back big halfback stretch. And this stretch, if you look at the offensive line, the play art has them like running angled to the right, but the blocking's not different. What's happening is the play art is making you think it's different, but it's not actually different. So that's where I personally stand, and the play art's making us think differently than what's actually happening in the game.
Gibbs, pop quiz. Can you get delay bump and run Madden 25?
Dime flat.
Dime flat?
Cover 2.
All right. That is for we're talking in the chat here for...
That was S. Wheat.
S. Wheat wants to know, can you get delay bump and run? SW Heat.
It's not the same delay bump and run that we had from a couple years ago where you came out in the 3-4 solid, you called gap press, right? And then you flipped it, and then you got the delay bump and run. It's not that type of delay bump and run, but cover 2, dime flat, no baseline, nothing, will get you a delay bump and run on the outside receivers. And where you're also going to see delay bump and run, and this is a big time tip that Farls always talked about this year, come out in quarters cover 3. He likes to press, but if you don't press those slot defenders, they will be lined up over the slot receivers. And if they're close enough to them and they're back a little bit, they will press those receivers if they run vertical patterns like a streak, a slant, something like that with a little bit of a vertical push up field. And you'll get that delay press style. And I think that if you mix that type of zone press in, you're going to have a lot of success.
All right. Good question. Let's take a look at our next one.
This one's coming in from Fred WH. What is the hardest defense to read? How do you make adjustments?
All right. So this will go along with something that we're talking about, just, hey, how do you make reads in general on the in the chat. So a tough defense for me to read is something like a nickel 155 prowl type of thing, just because it feels like a really aggressive defense, and if guys are moving around a little bit before the snap, it can cause you some trouble. I mean, I'm always going to come out in a spread offense if I'm looking to really read the defense. If I'm just not sure what somebody's doing, I'm always going to come out in some type of spread play. Like I said earlier, always a play that has hopefully some corner routes to start. You know, this wouldn't be my favorite spread just because it doesn't have enough corner routes, but generally you're going to be doing all right for yourself if you can find a nice gun spread formation. So that is where I'd start to read it, but we will take a look here. And what I'm going to see is that I believe this is potentially a cover 4, just because I see 2 safeties high. I see, go back here, we can see Ward in the middle, and also Gibson are both in deep zones. And then with the corners back, it's pretty obvious that they're likely in deep zones, so it's a cover 4. That's just what it is. And yes, there's a lot going on in the middle of this defense. There's a lot of just linebackers just kind of squirming around and making me a little bit uncomfortable. But the fact that I have 4 receivers out wide is what, forces those other shell guys to kind of reveal what they're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it forces the hand. So what we mean by that is if a defender's blitzing, more than likely he's not going to be lined up over a slot defender. And you have to think about that for a second. Why? Why would a defender that's blitzing not be lined up over a slot defender? Well, if I have Owens blitzing, it's going to take him a long time to get from here to the quarterback. So if he's blitzing, he should be probably in this area. So that's one thing that you're going to tell. So it makes it a little bit easier to read what the defense is doing. And what just happened there? I think he just got stuck on his head. That was intense.
Just a nice hurdle, you know what I mean?
I like it. So one thing, though, that to continue on Farls here, is he's reading the defense here. He likes to read the spread set. One thing that I always have difficulty with, and this happens time to time, you get someone that plays a lot of 2-man under, and then they do a fabulous job of going between 2-man under and cover 2, and they don't baseline.
Yeah.
This, we knock cover 2, but if you call 2-man under 90% of the time, and then you get a random cover 2, sometimes it's just the most frustrating thing on the planet. And Wolf does this actually very well. And we've both played Wolf this year, and as much as we rag on Wolf and we get on his case, he does a very good job at switching between that 2-man under and cover 2 zone.
Right, the cover 2 sync can be difficult because or cover 2 is because you need to have a certain play called to beat it. So if I know you call cover 2, I'm going to call 4 verticals, and I'm going to pretty much be able to hopefully get guys open downfield. But for the most part, you need to have that play called at the right time. Otherwise, you can be in trouble. There's things that beat cover 2 don't really beat cover 2-man under. However, you can get really gashed by a 2-man under if you don't call the right play. So that's something you want to consider. But I would agree with Skibbs there that is a pretty hard defense for me to read.
Yeah, it's just gonna be frustrating because typically for me when I'm playing, my first read is always the flat. Like or not first read, but it's like my safety. Like most people don't cover the flat very well. It's the first thing that people give up. I mean, it really is. It's if you're gonna send a blitz, the first thing that you're willing to give up is the flat because it's the part of the field that hurts you the least. So you're gonna defend everything else to give the flat. So that's usually the first option that's available. And then when people play 2-man under. And then I set up my play specifically to beat 2-man under because I'm reading 2-man under, and then they show me cover 2. It can give me fits.
So if he does call cover 2, right, and say I was going to throw an out, a slant, and this is what I was going to run to beat his 2-man under, and it turns out cover 2, I don't get fooled after the snap. Like I don't hike the ball, see the flat zone, and say, oh, it's 2-man under, I'm going to throw it anyway. I just freak out. I just get like I don't get confused. Yeah, I freeze. I say like I'll tell you when I know it's cover 2. Ready? Now, but I'm in trouble. Like I knew it right then, but I don't know really what I was like trying to do.
That was awesome.
I mean, yeah, I went downfield, but
that was pretty good though.
But you know what I mean? Like I know right now. Like I know my out's not going to work. Basically, is why I get freaked out. I know it right. Okay, it's now. But you know what I mean?
And then if you get pressure. And part of the problem is that typically when we run outs this year, we aren't leaving the flat underneath it. I mean, I have a tendency to do that. Like this year, I don't leave the flat underneath, and what ends up happening is that flat will drop back, especially on next gen. That flat drops back.
Flats play great on next gen. Yes, indeed.
I kind of like the cover 2 from this prowl. Kind of like it. What you like? No spy. Spies are kind of not good, but they're kind of good.
Here's the thing. You're using that specialty thing from the winner's kit, and it's pretty hard.
Right.
So.
Right.
That's pretty good.
But now you can scramble, and then you have that pick.
Johnny Baldwin. So that's something I have a hard time reading, but, you know, once I catch him a couple times playing cover 2, what I'll do, so example, so say he's playing cover 2, or he's playing 2-man under, once I figure that out during the course of the game a couple times, what I would do is, so say he's playing 2-man under, this is going to get open on the left against 2-man under. On the right side, this should be cover 2.
You should beat the cover 2 on the right side because you got 2 verticals. Yeah.
Right. So I know, then I know that I have to call this a little bit more. Whereas if he's calling 2-man under all the time, I want my routes on the right as well to be 2-man under beaters. If he's always calling cover 2, I want all 4 to be streaks. So, you know, that's something I would go with.
And right there, it crushes the cover 2. Here's the thing. You can't get away with playing cover 2 all game because it's just too easy to beat with running a couple streaks. But if you get someone that does mix it in properly, it's a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare because you could set your play up, like the play Z-Spot. If the Z-Spot, I think, is one of the best plays in the game, gun bunch Z-Spot. But if you face cover 2 zone, there's really only one read on it, and that's the deep post over the middle.
Yeah.
And if they have a user defender that takes that away, you got nowhere to go.
Right.
Because the whole short part of the field is covered.
But if you simply audible to the verticals play, which is in every play,
then you crush it.
Then you crush it.
Cover 2. You'll crush it.
Right.
But the problem is that the guy that calls 2-man under 85% of the game, and then you get on a 2nd and 8, you're like, oh, there's no way they're calling cover 2. They call cover 2. You get a sack. Now it's 3rd and 8, and then you start second guessing yourself with everything you're doing. 2-man under, cover 2, and it just can mess with you.
All right. So that's a good question right there. And let's take one from the chat real quick. And it is, what's a good 1st and goal defense from SW Heat? I like to call 5-2 Fire Zone 2. And that play has 2 flat zones, 5 down defensive linemen, so it plugs up the run gaps. It plays the flats really well, which is a vulnerable area. And then it has 2 yellow zones over the middle. But I take the deep zones and I drag them into the box, change them to hook zones. So now I have 4 hook zones. I base a line, and then I just use her yellow. I try and shoot the gaps because I have 5 linemen. I got the flats covered. I got a bunch of hook zones. Works pretty good for me.
And I got a play for you that brings pressure, and it can be either from a 3-4 book or it can be from a 4-3 book. If it's from a 3-4, I'm going to recommend the 3-4 over, and the play is called Sting Pinch. So you would come out and just say like a under or something like that. So what I would like here is you
would be at the goal line.
Right, you press, and what you want to do here is use her with the middle linebacker. And the idea is hopefully they send everybody out on a route because you're going to try and send a quick pressure right up the A gap.
So you are pressing?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the idea. Is I want quick pressure to try and come in somewhere, and then I got to try and defend it. And the idea is hopefully I can make a play.
Hopefully
in the
they're
flat.
not ready for it.
Right.
Yeah.
The other play that
and they can't throw deep because
right.
they're in there.
Correct. That's why you're willing to play. Cover 0 is a great defense in the red zone because you can't get beat deep. You can't get beat deep. It's just a fact. You can't get beat deep in the red zone. So you got to cover the halfback whichever way he goes. Oh, he's going that way. He's going that way, and now you're in trouble. Pick. And then if you're in a base 4-3 book, you want to take a look at 4-3 under edge sting. It does the same thing as the 3-4. 4-3 under edge sting is actually better. But if you're in a base 3-4 book, I recommend the 3-4 over sting pinch.
I like it. I like it a lot. Let's take a look here at the next question in the mailbag.
This one's coming in from HH Football Picks. What should you do before playing a ranked game? Example, lab, defense, blitz plays, money O plays.
This is a great question from HH Football Picks. His question's coming in about...
If you don't have a lot of time, what do you do?
What do you do before playing a ranked game or a big game? It doesn't have to be a ranked game. Any big Madden game that you're going to play, what's the best way to prepare for it? Personally, I like to, number one, always check my depth chart before I go into the game because it's really frustrating. It can throw you off your game if you go in and it's not set. Maybe there's a new roster update. Maybe... if you're playing a head-to-head game, just go and check it. Take a look at it. You got 5 minutes. Go in, make sure it's set up the way you want it. That's number one. Number two, I really think that you should get into practice mode and just kind of run over your scripted first drive, whether it's your favorite base formation. Farls loves the single back ace. Why not go into practice mode, run 15 halfback zone weeks just to get a flow for the stick and how it feels.
For the run, yeah. You got to have your main reads down on your play and the play that you're most confident in. I like the depth chart idea. Yeah, I like having your audible set and things if you're going to do that. I like to play a lot of... I don't like to do the skills trainer that much. If I only have a little bit of time, though, I will do skills trainer. And otherwise, I'll play like a quick game against the computer and just, like I said, make reads, get my mind going, try to get the nerves out. But, generally... I like the depth chart idea. If your team's not set up, if you don't know what you're doing, I'm going to try this team during this rank. You're just playing a fun rank game, you want to hop on, but you don't have time. I'm going to try the Jets this game. Well, I've never ran. Offensively, I've been running with fast backs, now I have Chris Ivory, and now my run's not really working, now everything else is messed up. So just, get an idea for your personnel before and know what kind of offense you're going to run. As a guy, I switch almost every time. I showed up at the Best Buy tournament, I was like, I guess I'll use the Seahawks. I don't really know why I used the Seahawks, and then I almost got talked out of it because he's like, Marshawn Lynch can't catch. And I'm like,
but what did I say to you in the end? I said no.
Just go with what you know.
Go with what you know.
So I was like, all right, I will use the Seahawks. Lynch didn't drop any big passes, so that was good. But I was just like, all right, I'll use the Rams playbook. I didn't really know exactly what playbook. I had everything I needed, just kind of don't overthink it, I guess, was kind of the main.
Yeah, and there was a question in the chat. It said, from Uni, he said, the question was more about... they don't have a lot of time to lab. It's more catered to that. I don't have a lot of time to lab every day. So what do you recommend for that? Well, I would recommend that is, I think it's really, really important that you get one formation down and you know it like the back of your hand. So if you can only lab 10 minutes a day, then you have time for a 10-minute lab and then one game and then it's lights out, got to go to work, got to be a grown-up tomorrow, right? Well, then you really need to spend those 10 minutes on perfecting that one formation. So for me, personally, I love the gun bunch. I would spend all my time every day, the 10 minutes before my games, I would just spend in practice mode running gun bunch, running my plays, getting my reads down. And the way I personally lab is I start at a cover 4, I go to a cover 3, I go to a cover 2, then I make a zone blitz, then I go to 2-man under, and then I spend the majority of my time in 2-man under. I run through the gauntlet of the zones just to get a feel for the zones, just so I can kind of feel how things are going. And then, so you guys love numbers, so I'm going to run 100 plays. That'll be about 15, 20 minutes of lap time, right? I'm going to spend about 30 to 40 of those plays on the all zone coverage, and then 60 of those plays on that just straight 2-man under from different sets. So if I'm coming out gun bunch, I'll probably come out and say, a 4-3 2-man under, just see how it reacts, because it reacts differently because the linebackers don't press because they're not lined up properly. And then I'm going to go into a dime, then I'm going to go into a quarters, and then I'm going to go into a dollar just to see how things react differently.
Right, guys will
That's
pass
how I'll
off
in
different man coverages, so I like that as well. Right, Shotmaster saying he likes random defenses, but 2-man under is strong. If you don't have a great plan to beat 2-man under, look, anybody can beat stock 2-man under, but can you beat 2-man under when your opponent takes away your corner route? Can you beat 2-man under when your opponent takes away your drag? Like when they take away the first thing you want to do against 2-man under, yeah, every play has one thing that'll be 2-man under, but it's the first thing. It's the first place your guy's going to go when he's playing 2-man under. So you got to know how to beat it, and you got to have that one play that beats it with 5 different routes, 4 different routes. Otherwise, you're going to get into trouble with it.
And I actually really like the tip from Shotmaster in the chat where he said run random plays. I would say probably spend 10 or 15 of your plays on just picking random and then going, because you want to try your best to mimic the in-game experience. And you're running these plays. We talked about this a couple weeks ago on Twin, where in the lab, you're in a controlled environment, so you always kind of know what it is. So you can get a false sense of security of what your play is. You're running this play and you didn't catch it, but you're like, oh, I kind of got on there, or you threw a pick. Oh, it's all right, I threw a pick, whatever. But in game, it actually matters. So if you run against the random play every couple of plays, you're going to help mimic more of that kind of, I don't really always know what the play is.
Right, but the thing with the random plays,
then you don't know what it is, and then you can't learn from it, I guess.
Right, you don't know what it is, and you can't learn from it. And also,
there's definitely value in it.
The dudes will roll, the computer defense when it sends a blitz will roll the coverage before the play, so you know what's happening. So it's not really how a regular player would set up their plays. It's still good because you don't want to be a robot, but at the same time, it's no player calls that blitz to set up pressure from the right. They just set it up. They don't see their defense roll.
And we got a great question in the chat from Scram Newton here. He's asking, should he blitz on 1st, 2nd, and 3rd downs, and should he be calling zone coverage? My question, or not my question, but what I personally think about that, Newton, is you should blitz early and you should blitz often, and your number one goal with that is you're trying to figure out, can my opponent handle the pressure? If they can't handle it, you do not lay off that gas pedal. You do not. You just lay on the gas pedal, and you're going 80 miles an hour all night.
That's assuming you have a pretty good blitz scram.
Right.
You don't want to make sure you're not sending 6 guys and calling cover 1 early.
Correct.
But yes, he likes to blitz a lot. I don't. I like to sit back and kind of wait until 3rd down when it's 3rd and long, and then I gas him up. But that's a choice depending on your type of player you are. If I'm playing a weak player, I'm going to blitz more than if I'm playing a really good player, just because it's a comfort thing, whereas he's just going to blitz all the time. So there's no percentage. He'll maybe blitz 50% of his plays. I'll maybe blitz 15%, but that's a choice that you got to make as well. We got the mole in the house. We're going to keep running through questions here on This Week in Madden, and let's keep going here, Tech Guy.
This one's coming in from JPL711. How can you stop a 5 wide receiver set with the halfback running quick routes?
All right, so he is struggling to stop empty formations, specifically if the halfback comes out of the backfield. So I'll see if we have a nice 5 wide receiver set.
You got a great one in that playbook.
An empty set that utilizes the receiver. So should I go? Do you think he's meaning maybe something with the halfback out of the backfield, or
go empty because he said empty? Yeah. I don't know. Then we can kind of go to the other one, but go empty Saint is a good one.
Right.
Empty Saint's actually probably not. It's a pretty good formation, but no, go to empty Saint. Go empty Saint. So, what is your tip, Farls? How do you defend an empty set? How do you slow it down if all 5 guys are running routes? What's your number one go-to?
I go to a formation only has 3 down linemen because I don't think I can blitz it personally. I just know that it's too hard to set something up without revealing it. So I'll go something with a 3 down line. I'll drop the weak side into a purple zone off the line, basically, wherever I think the corner route's going to go. I feel like people are definitely going to run those. And then I'll kind of use her in the middle of the field and just look to take away the first throw that I see. So that's pretty much what you got to do. If they're good enough to throw outs, you got to shade the outs. That's something you'll have to do if you want to stop it. But there you got to take it away for Kruger. You got to take away that middle of that field. And we'll just run a couple examples, but they're going to be looking to maybe run with a quarterback if they're going spread if they have a mobile quarterback. So that's an option. You're going to give them the underneath. I mean, they're going to be able to make throws, but you just need to stop them, once every 3 downs, hopefully, and take something away.
Right. And one thing I like to do when I'm facing spread is, and this kind of goes against what I've talked about in years past, where against an empty set, I know that they're going to have a very difficult time. Not this formation because it has the 2 tight end, or Davis and Hunter real close, they can block, but against most empty sets, they can't really pick up pressure off either edge, right? So I only have to bring pressure off one edge. So in this formation, I'm just kind of making something up on the fly here. But what I really have a tendency to do is blitz. I just kind of change up the pressure, and I make sure I'm always sending pressure, but I switch up the pressure from left to right, left to right, left to right. And my whole goal is to get them to roll to that one side. And then what I actually, if they start showing that they can beat that standard pressure, like I was sending 5 guys getting pressure off the left edge, what I'll end up doing is the following. This is a tip. It's not the blitz from the winner's kit, but it's something that we showed from the bold flavors where we only rush 2 defenders off one edge to get a guy free. And the whole goal with it is you get the natural roll, so you get the pressure off that, and then you see the recovery of the guard, and then you get that natural roll into all the coverage on the right side of the field. So I'm completely saying, well, if the pressure's coming off the left edge, I don't really have to worry about defending the left flat because you're going to see this pressure. He's coming clean. Like that, he's looking like he's coming clean right there. And that's usually enough to get exactly what we got here. The guard's coming to pick it up, but what you did is you had a natural tendency to just step to the right. And that one move to the right really completely takes away, for the most part, that left side of the field. Now, you can get beat there if you're playing a savvy opponent and they recognize that I can just kind of dump the ball down there. But what ends up happening typically is look at all the defenders I have on the right side of the field. I mean, the whole right side of the field is flooded with defenders. And that's typically how I go against an empty set.
Yeah, if you're going to stop me from an empty set, what you have to do is send a blitz off of one side and just drop enough random zones to the other side that it fools me, and eventually I get uncomfortable and I say, all right, I'm going to need to block somebody here, so I'm going to stop doing that. If you're talking about an empty set like this, where the halfback's on a certain route, like a really tough route to stop is the option route. It's a hot route for the halfback. You push Y, RB, and then L trigger. So against man, Gore's going to run to the right. Against zone, he's just going to sit over the middle of the field. So here he's going to sit over the middle. And, are they running wheel routes? That's another route out of the halfback position that's pretty tough. A really good player, if from a gun spread, is going to use the whole field. I see most players online, what they do is just throw over the middle of the field to Y or to A, because that's the easiest area for them to see. But the best players will be able to throw, routes that use the entire area of the field, because when you blitz, like we said, you're going to cram everybody in. It's going to be really hard to cover outside where the numbers are. And a lot of players don't throw out by the numbers because there's just not a lot of routes that get open out there. So if your opponent's not using that area of the field, then you got to take advantage of it. But, I do like...
See,
you got to kind of use in the middle with the halfback. And
what happened there, guys? And okay, so you beat me there. I did a bad job there, but Farls knows what I'm doing here. He knows I'm trying to send pressure off either edge, but it's still working in my favor. He's doing exactly what I want him to do. So here comes the pressure off this right edge, and look at you hang in the pocket, but then it's just natural that everyone does it. The pressure comes off that edge like that. I'm only sending 2 guys. I get that pressure off that right edge like that, and then you just have a tendency to roll away, and now you have no lineman, so a good move there, potentially I could grab the spy, bring him down, but then the other thing that's beautiful about this is you get those block sheds, and you get the lineman to start running away. I should have stayed on Gore, but it's working perfectly. This is how I like it. We show you how to do this in the winner's kit. It is very successful in the winner's kit, and it teaches you how to play against these spread sets.
Yeah, the less you can send but still get a guy is so big against spread sets. All right, here we go. We got rapid fire questions here, and Tech Guy, 2 more to go. Let's rally through here.
All right, this one's coming in from Gibbs Got Dots. What are some pointers for usering cornerbacks? Example, how to manually press where to position yourself relative to the wide receiver, etc.
All right, so if you're going to play as a corner, let's do it on Xbox One. Why not? Actually, let's not do it on Xbox One. We're going to do it on Xbox 360. If you're going to play as a cornerback, I mean, one situation I like to play as a CB is quarters, cover 3. So, you know, it's really hard to play cornerback because they can run any route. You really can't hang with them. It's much easier to play as a safety because you're playing a zone. So I'll call quarters, and I'll call this cover 3 play that we've talked about quite a bit. What I'll do is, I said I drop one guy into a deep, shade in the middle, and then I'll play as the flat defender. Why I like to play as the flat defender is because I get a free press, and then I can drop back. Like we said, next gen, the flat zones drop like crazy. Whereas at least if you play the flat zone, you can drop back and hopefully make a play on the ball.
Right.
That is what I like to play as when I play as a CB. So I'll stand up in this receiver's face, hopefully get a free press, and then I'll drop back as the flat defender as far as I need to, because you're smarter than just a guy who's just going to play it basic. Like if I don't play McFadden, he's just going to stand there and do pretty much nothing on this play.
Now, where I kind of like it, where there could be potential here, is I love what you're doing too, but I think, and I don't know why I haven't started doing this or tried, because I think that there's the greatest potential to have a very, very good defense if you play to cover 2 here. And if you were to look at this part of the field here, I would say you'd want to use or control the left DB, the far left DB. And what I would say you do here, I would shade the coverage out, the deep safeties out. And then I would just sit over there, out. So your job at the snap of the ball is to get to the middle of the field, but you want to just kind of let your opponent know you're over there. The whole idea is don't throw at me. I'm over here, right?
Right.
And then at the snap of the ball, you just sprint to the middle of the field. So you're trying to immediately just take that read away, the snap of the ball, and then go. And then you get to the middle of the field, and then so you're gaining another. It's like you're doing the +1 defender thing, where's the short side of the field? Okay, it's the left. I'm going to take that flat defender. People love the outside receivers.
Throwing out.
Right. Okay.
Throwing out for me. So I'm in a cover 3 at Hayden.
Okay.
And put Davis on flat. Okay. Let's see if I can cover it.
You want me to throw to Manningham?
Yeah.
Okay. Manningham out.
So, I mean, you could
play
as a corner. Here's where I would do it.
You play cover 4?
No, here's where I would do it. Do you have a trips tight end or like a trips gun trips something?
Yeah. Trey, here you go.
Okay. So, if you'd like to play a lot of cover 3, I would do this. Ideally, Manningham would be like inside more. But I would play as screen. I'd play as corner here. Because if he was in more, like if he was a tight end, he can't. The only route he can run is a streak or like a corner. He can't really run any routes that are going to be over here. So you're pretty much good to slide in and play. Like you don't really need a deep zone over here.
Right. We always say to put him in a hook and drop him that way.
Right. Go for it.
Yeah. Here's where I'm seeing what ends up happening is you can definitely get in trouble there. Okay. That's why I was thinking of like the cover 2 or like cover 2 sink. Like, because he's in the flat, you can't hurt your deep coverage really.
Right.
You can only hurt that flat coverage, and then you're going to make your flat coverage better. It's almost like you're playing a cover 6 sort of. But now, I just like it because most people aren't accustomed to seeing that. So if you get really good at it,
then you can eat outs.
Right. That, and you're taking away one side of the field. Like that's like having a Cromartie, and you just do that on Calvin Johnson every time you play him. You take Calvin Johnson out of the game. Like, hey, it's not an option. You cannot throw to him. Press him, and then you just go. You get off him, and then you play somewhere else.
Okay.
There's potential there.
It's there. I mean, it's really up to you how you do it. But if you're at least throwing outs on you, you could at least step in, hopefully make a play. All right, here we go. Let's take a look at the next question in the mailbag.
Last one.
This one's coming in from Give Got Dots. How can you create a hybrid man zone defense like FSU uses?
So, I mean, basically, you can either come out in a zone and man guys up, which takes a few button presses for the newer guys, or you could come out in man and drop guys into zone.
A little easier to do, yeah.
Which is a little bit easier for people.
Go to 3-4 even. Okay. Go 3-4 even real quick because we can show up both out of that. But go 3-4 even.
Hybrid just means it has some elements of both coverages.
3-4 even.
You're going to always, in my opinion, want to start with 2 men under.
Right, and then go down. Okay, that works.
Sorry.
Sure. So it's what Farls was saying. It's a little easier to do if you just play tube and under and drop guys into zone, because now you have hybrid coverage because you have both man and zone.
Right. So now you sort of have like a cover 2, which might stop corner routes and routes over the middle. And
the biggest thing that we always talk about is the +1 defender with the halfback. So the biggest tip probably you can use right away is, where's the halfback? Okay, halfback's on the right side of the quarterback. All right, well, I want to take the linebacker that's covering the halfback, and I want to put him on a flat or a buzz zone, or drop a D lineman on that side of the field into a zone, because if Gore runs a flat pattern here, and I have him in a flat route, Gore's defended, right? That's a win for the defense. Now, say Gore stays in the block, but you drop Jackson over there into a flat. Well, now you win again, because the defender drops, and he's now doubling another flat pattern. So you're gaining. It's like you're gaining an extra defender. You're kind of like hedging your bet here with your defense.
so yeah, that's a great hybrid coverage. And I mean, in general, the more you can like mix it up and just kind of be random sometimes. I know whatever you're kind of feeling on a play, it doesn't always have to have football like tendencies behind it. If you just think that they're throwing a corner out for the 10th time on the day and you've just straight had enough, I mean, put a purple zone over there, put a buzz zone over there. If you expect them to go, on a slant over the middle, put a guy right there. I mean, sometimes I'll just get, you just generally think you know what's going on, and yeah, you might pay the price and you might think, man, that was really dumb. Like every now and then I'll do this. I'll be in 2-man under. I'll do this, and then they'll bomb it deep to, like, Manningham. Like, chuck it deep to Manningham. And I'll just be like, wow, that was really dumb. He must have seen me.
Right.
He obviously saw me took my safeties away. But if they're not testing you every time, or they're not, that's a hybrid coverage where they hit me on the corner one too many times, and now I've had enough of it. So.
And right there, that's the difference, guys, between Farls and I, where I'll take the D-stick here. Where my hybrid coverage, I always start usually from a zone, and where I'm trying to bring that is I'm trying to bring pressure with my hybrid coverage. So you saw me earlier, I'm setting the pressure, and typically what I'll do is I'll man guys up with my coverage, and then, like I said, I roll the pressure off one edge. I try and funnel them away from where the coverage is weak, and then I try and do my best job to make the coverage on the side they're going to roll to have all the defenders on that side. And you saw that I actually manned up the two guys on the right. So you can see I have a man-to-man coverage on both receivers, but then I also have a spy, a hook, and a buzz on the right side with two deep defenders over the top. And it can get kind of confusing. If you're not really ready for that and you see that, you're kind of like, what? How are they? What's going on? So that's typically my tendency. That's kind of what I like to do. It just different from Farls. Farls, again, he plays a little more of that man-to-man and then goes from that approach.
All right. Last question of the night.
Did you know that Gibbs got dots? His name is really Gibbs got dibs?
Yeah.
Okay. He wanted to know why you changed his name to Gibbs got dots.
Oh, it's not Gibbs got dibs?
It's Gibbs got dibs.
Oh. I thought his real last name was Gibbs.
No, it's Gibbs got dibs, but you changed it, I think, to Gibbs got dots.
Must have been a mistake.
I like it. I like Gibbs got dots.
Somebody asked about the goal line fade. Mellow Sun on Twitter was asking about the goal line fade. How can you use it? We gave a really good tip about bubble screens in the goal line fade.
It's a winner's kit thing, guys. It's a winner's kit thing.
So you're going to want to check that out. But, I mean, you can still throw these. I like to use a little bit of bullet and a little bit of lead. They'll sometimes jump for that with bigger receivers. Catching traffic, though, they really got to be able to hang on if they do go up and make the catch. So,
yeah, there's a special way to do it, guys, and it's in the winner's kit. It's coming straight from the 140 grand man, Eric Problem Right. It was his tip. He provided it for the winner's kit for people. So that's something that's concealed in the winner's kit.
So that's your answer. I don't really use
couple guys in the chat. Jay Noel in the chat right now. He's saying, yeah, that's a win. Winner's kit win right there on that fade.
I don't use it like I did Madden 12. Madden 12 I threw Ramsey's Barden every time in the end zone, rocket catch, win. Now I'll only do it from that. So check that out, and you can get the winner's kit at madtips.com on the discount right now, 30% off. Use the code TWIM, and that will get you a special discount. So make sure you check that out. And
we got a special game of the week coming up.
ZFarls
is going to play against fellow EA Sports game changer, the Mole, the official Mole. And people want me to coach.
Level 33.
People want me to coach. He's a level 33?
He's played a lot of games, 35 and 16.
Wait, did they brought back levels?
I guess. I have a 7-0 record. No, I haven't played on Xbox One. So I have a 0-0 record. But on PS4, I'm 7-0.
Is that good?
Not really, but...
Okay. Do I have my... No, I don't think I have my coaching gear. So, Farls facing off against Mole. Do you know what team he's using?
Not yet. I had to invite him to a party. I don't know how to play him in a game, I guess.
No users have been.
You have to invite him to a party before you can play him, I guess.
No.
I guess.
Really?
It's Xbox One, bro.
It's tough. It's tough.
Normal game.
Mole's ranked in the top 100.
Yeah.
Is that ZP3 Paletta MMA?
No way.
ZP3 in the house? My man? The myth, the legend? ZP3. Let me know if that's you.
He's going to be the Niners?
No, he's not.
Should I use St. Louis?
You should use whatever you're comfortable using, man. It's Tampa Bay D.
I need a blitz, though.
Well,
I like that zone blitz.
Well, then you got to go 46. It's up to you, man. Then you don't have 33-5.
Is he just going to run the ball, though?
Probably.
Can you stop the run from 46?
Oh, Mole's got a new
Can you stop the run from 46, or do I feel like I need 42?
Just use Tampa Bay, because that's what you know. Fact.
But you're going to coach, you're going to yell at me.
I'm not going to yell at you. It is ZP3. In the house, in the flesh. The playbooks are exactly the same on next-gen systems.
Should have went run and gun.
Yeah?
Maybe.
Jay Null said you should have gone with the Minnesota Vikings.
No.
Right? To just shove it in Mole's face.
Right? Just AP him to death.
Shove it in his guacamole.
Mole beat us in online team play with Wolfman and another guy.
The animals.
Names who had an animal word in it. Beast, maybe?
The animals. The dang animals.
And now Mole shows up out of nowhere and gets on the game of the week. Classic Mole move.
Right? Isn't that classic Mole?
It's going to be the first twin Mole watch in a long time.
He just snuck on the game of the week.
But he does play a lot of Xbox One.
Doc, yes, the rosters are exactly the same on Next Gen.
We got Mad Scientist in the house.
Mad Sci in the house?
Of course, Mole wins the toss, naturally.
Naturally. We got a barn burner here.
He's good. He should kick deep.
This could potentially be the NFC Championship game since the New York Giants are not going to be in the playoffs again.
You sure?
Hey, Frost, when's the last time the Giants were in the playoffs?
I don't know. Last time Rob Gronkowski was healthy?
Yeah?
Sorry.
Are you going to have fun not watching the playoffs this year?
Yep. I'm going to have a great time. Honestly,
good, right?
It's almost better.
It's going to be great, right? Like, you don't have a team to cheer for.
Last time the Giants were
your favorite team's not in the playoffs. It's going to be awesome.
Last time...
Dude, this was supposed to be the year that there was going to be all New York Super Bowl. Yeah. This was going to be the year in New York.
Was it?
Jets versus Giants.
Was it?
Yeah. Giants are so good.
Is that true?
Yeah, dude, Giants are good. ZP3, I lost in the Final Four.
You tweet out that we're live on the game of the week.
Yeah, buddy.
Wreck Mole.
Sure.
Potentially.
So Farls, you can see his favorite scheme here is single back ace.
This is my first game on Xbox One, guys. I'll be honest.
It is your first game on Xbox One. Should be no different though.
That would be the whole.
I'm team PS4, I think, to be honest too. And get this tweet out, and we are ready to go. All right, so 2nd and 5. Mole spreads the line. Oh, what's Mole doing here? He's going to move his line back and forth like a clown. Oh, and his user skills are real weak.
Right there, he's like, dude, I was trying to press X. And then Marshawn Lynch looks weird, right?
Right, he's got no gloves on. That's why. Does he never have gloves?
He usually wears gloves.
Oh, Pearl Jam said he hits me deep. He says, "When did the Pats last win the big one?" And that answer would be
the answer would be before the Celtics, before the
Red Sox,
before the Red Sox,
before the
Yankees, before the Bruins, before the New England Revolution, before the Boston Cannons, before the BC Eagles men's national hockey team.
You know what's sad about that is that
true or that I know it?
Is that you know it? Is that you've rehearsed that? You've woken up in the middle of the night and you're like, all right, when Gibbs says this, I'll get him. I'll get him.
Who's the fastest back for the Seahawks? Turbin or Michael?
Probably Carmichael, or was it Michael? Christian Michael. Yeah, I think Turbin might have more speed, but Michael might have more oomph.
You're just a wealth of knowledge back there, S. Gibbs.
So here we are. Farls is going to try to hit him with a quick toss here, quick toss, and a fake playmaker. He pitches his line. That's exactly what he wants. Get out. What?
Oh my goodness!
That's not what you wanted.
That was a tough block.
You didn't want that block. So 3rd and 3, a big part of the game early on. I honestly think that even if Farls doesn't get the first down, he's just going to no huddle go for it. So you can see Mole's in a 4-4. So right off the bat, we know that he's in the 4-3.
3rd and 3. Here's the handoff.
And my guess is that Mole likes the 4-4 to stop the runs, get a lot of people from the field. Can't hate it. Can't hate that strategy. That used to be Farls' go-to. 3-3-5, a little bit of 4-4.
Eventually throw the ball here.
Farls is one of the most clutch players I've seen. 1st and 10. Now we get a little 5. Oh, he's in a custom playbook. Okay.
No, he's in the 4-3.
Okay.
Marshawn Lynch takes the football.
So he's starting to get aggressive with that safety, and it looked like he was in a cover 4 because he had all.
Did look like he was in a cover 4.
All 4 of his secondary guys were were back deep, but. You know, that is classic Mole. He plays a ton of cover 4.
Mole plays a lot of cover 4.
So much cover 4.
Such a Mole thing to do,
It's such a Mole thing to do.
Play number 6 coming up on this drive.
This is the St. Louis offensive playbook. Farls runs it a little differently than me. If you have the playbook, you can see that he has his ice formation from the single back ace, or you can call it the ice formation. You can call it the boat. It's one of the most balanced offenses you can have in the game. It's just straight single back ace. We show you all the adjustments in the winner's kit. There's a bunch of different plays in there, and it all focuses around the bread and butter run from this formation that you're going to see Farls run a lot of this game. 3rd and 2. Oh, that's right there. That adjustment Farls has to absolutely love. So Mole is getting super aggressive with that free safety, and you got to think that at some point Farls will make him pay.
But what route?
Tight end streak. Right?
I don't know. Once I run too many times, I forget how to pass. Real thing.
I know.
And then I just never want to pass.
Right. You just run the ball. When you got hogs like that on the offensive line, why wouldn't you do it? Go. Tipped. Contextually aware. Get in. Got it, coach.
He hit the pylon. That's a TD every time.
Wow.
Right? Am I right?
You're right. That was a touchdown. That was a touchdown. You just got jobbed.
Steve Jobs.
You got Steve Jobs. You got Steve Jobs, bro. Tough. Not if his knee hit first.
That's the J. Knoll. It's the J. Knoll halfback toss from last week we talked about. I ran that quite a bit, my friend, last week at the tournament.
Let's see what we got here. Oh, that's a touchdown. Classic Knoll. So, Falls, why do you like the Seahawks so much? What's your deal? You're a big Seahawks guy on
Richie Sherman just does things that other CBs won't do it for you. And I'm going to kick deep.
This is a big tip right here. Pro tip. Always kick deep on next gen.
Grown man.
Dugan, no, I will not be upset because the Patriots will not lose next week against the Dolphins.
And, Mole could maybe take it.
Ted Ginn is dangerous, definitely.
That's the juke you need, but he needs to get it to be outside.
Right, you need to do the juke where you would do the left stick cut.
But that juke slows you down a little bit. So
right.
So let's see what he's going to come out in. He's going to run.
For guys that are wondering, the defense that you'll see Falls run tonight is it's the 3-3-5 ice defense.
Sorta.
It's a lot of it though is the ice defense where he just plays. He plays a lot of the coverage. He lets the mistakes come to you.
Playing the quarterback on the option. I'm going to let him run with 28 all day. That's 51 on the Pop City though. Do you see that hit stick?
Yeah.
And look, I'm gonna give up a lot of rushing yards up the middle like that.
Tony Stark, he is playing a live human being.
Playing the mole.
Playing the mole, official mole. So Farls. So you're gonna right off the bat, you're seeing that what Mole's doing. He's running a lot of read option, and you got to know that.
And now it's 3rd and 2.
You got to know that because he's in the Carolina playbook. So you got to know you're going to see a lot of that. And I would bet here that Farls probably placed the outside linebacker on the left. Thought he placed him on a flat, but he put him on a hook. I like that over the middle. It's going to be a quick read, most likely to the tight end. Nice little play there. And hey,
3rd and 2.
3rd and 2.
It's an easy read.
Give him 4 yards. That's fine. We're living here to fight another day, and that's the whole idea with the ice defense, guys, is you make them just dink and dunk their way down the field, and you catch them in the right moment, and you have guys like Richard Sherman and Brandon Brown on the outside, you're going to win more times than not.
Eventually, you know, if he stays in like real run-heavy personnel, I may audible or something, but
yeah. So guys in the chat are asking, they're saying, "Hey, Farls, why are you running that Tampa defense?" And one of the reasons that Farls runs the Tampa Bay defense is because he gets his 2 favorite ice formations in the game. He gets the 5-2 and the 3-3-5, where he can, depending on the type of offensive sets that your opponent comes out in, he can go to the 5-2, feel comfortable to defend against the bigger I-form tights. And then if he gets a passing set, he feels a little more comfortable in that 3-3-5 where he can make the ice adjustments while he's playing the game.
Right, and it has everything that all our other books have in it.
It's just one. I literally think it is the only playbook I think in the game that has the combination of 5-2 and 3-3-5.
Right, it still has all our 4-3 stuff from the original. It's got some nickel stuff from the most recent guide. Everything's there, pretty much.
Yeah, you don't have the nickel strong, but you do have nickel normal. You can kind of mimic some of the nickel strong, but it's a little bit different, but it is still possibly there. So, you know, probably going to see still some more of the read option. And that classic Mole. And guys, we talk about what just happened there all the time. When people run the read option, their main goal is to run with the quarterback. Don't let them. That was a terrible read by Mole. No offense, Mole. No offense. When you're watching this tomorrow, archive. That was a bad read on me. And Mole wanted to probably run with the quarterback. Farls probably frustrating him, and saying, "Hey, do not run with the quarterback."
And I am L trigger in A, so that is preventing him from running with the quarterback on the read option.
Yeah, and so Gibbs got dibs in the chat. He's saying, yeah, he likes the 5-2 over the 4-4 as well, so that's why he switched up going to Tampa Bay. Definitely, you know, you can go 4-3, and the 4-3 playbook is very similar to what you're going to get out of the Tampa Bay defense. Just the biggest difference is you're going between the 5-2 and the 4-4. It's really a preference. You know, do you want your 5-2 run defense, or do you want a 4-4 run defense? It's up to you.
Left the middle open there on the PA. Good patience by Mole.
There are no communities on Next Gen. So here we get a bigger formation. Mole coming down. He's probably trying to slow the game down, probably eat some clock, and great little adjustment there by Farls. He clicked on the Earl Thomas. You dropped Earl into a flat.
Yellow.
So Farls there, he did the 2 and under. How do you make your run defense better? People ask this question to me all the time. You know, what's the quickest way that I can make my run defense better? And what I always say is play 2 and under, take a safety, and I personally say drop into a flat. Farls, you saw there, he took the safety and he dropped them into a hook zone. And what that did is it put the extra defender in the area to stop the run. And in this case, ball down to the 1. That's pretty good for Farls, though. You're going to get the ball back. No, you're going to get the ball back and move the chains. But
good run. Patient play call. Patient play call there.
Right. And to make your run defense better, guys, simple 2 and under, drop a safety into a zone, get him up in the box. You'll have more numbers to take away what you want to do. So right here, you got to just take away the sneak, and you got to live with that. That's fabulous. Love that he went to that, because the probability of a mistake happening a lot higher than if he did a QB sneak. Even though we did see the miraculous QB sneak fumble on Twim like 95.
Yes, we did.
All right, so Farls, minute 18.
Should have Percy Harvin in the game. I'm going to have to throw here. I just can't turn the ball over. You know, I haven't thrown yet.
You got shotgun bunch. You got Z spot. I mean, you're going to go gun spread. The world is your oyster right here. 2 timeouts and minute 15. Does he get ball at half or you get ball at half?
He gets ball.
That's where you got to be very careful here.
right.
Love this play call here by Farls.
Maybe try and hit him for like a quick 10 or get out of bounds or something like that.
So because Mole's playing a lot of cover 4, Farls is checking down to the screen. That's why I absolutely love this play call. Get some yards. And here's the thing. Because we know it didn't work out in our advantage that time, but because we know that he's playing a lot of zone, I like that call because it's as safe as a run against zone, but the potential for it to be a big-time play is a little higher. So I do like that play call even though it didn't work out for us. So here we are, 2nd and 12. You want to numb a little bit of the clock. Numb.
Pick. And that's a bad read.
Playing a little cover
I think he audibled.
So right now, 3rd and 12. This is a tough spot because now you had the chance to drive, and now Mole, he's in the cover 4, so you don't like the outs in this situation. Outs are just not going to be a tough spot. Mole shaking? Is that the Mole?
That's my question.
Mole shakes? Now is he going to, he show blitz? That's just classic Mole. And that's Moldy. That's Percy Farrell. I've never seen a more classic ZFarls. Ooh, it's all Madden. Living on a prayer. You just unlocked something. That's how good of a play that was. Classic Farls. Go, baby. Go. Gone. Gone. I mean, do you stay in bounds or you just do that? Yeah. Love it. Love it. Taunt him. Oh, and how you like that, Mole? You like that, Mole? So,
what is the chat saying? Is the chat? Come on.
The chat's going, wow.
Are they?
Wow. LMAO. Wow.
That's my favorite band.
Yeah. Mole's just getting grilled right now. Wow, nice blocking. Lucky. Mama Rawl said
kind of lucky. Kind of lucky. All right, kind of lucky. But I'll take it. Awesome.
Jay Petro, shout out to my man Jay Petro in the chat. Shout out to Doc23 in the chat.
Boom, baby!
Hit sticks all day.
Now what do I do?
Ryan Hollins right there. Primetime KCS, shout out to him in the chat. Thanks guys for tuning in. Kyle Ring Tarantula, Zansoon, Gibbs got dibs, Bismarck Bombers, Wolf, Fire, Postman, Raider Jim, Buff Guy.
Right, here we go.
C-Man.
Here we go.
Farls doesn't like me chanting.
It's ridiculously obnoxious with all due respect.
Yeah? Hey, I'm just keeping the chat live.
I like it.
Keeping
I like
the chat
it.
live. You think I care about you trying to get a win here? No.
Clearly not.
I care about the chat. I care about the chat.
Gibbs got dibs.
And
he's going to run up the middle.
He's going to do a read option. Like, jeez. Like, there's no doubt about it that he was going to do an option there. Now, does he go QB wrap?
Mole, so cheesy.
Mole?
Yeah.
All playing cover 4 and just, blah.
But he got beat. He got out-used. He got out-sticked. Out-stuck.
Mole is a solid player, Yundi.
Mole's very good. We're just messing.
Yundi, Mole is a very solid player.
Ready for intermission.
Yeah, so what you're seeing here, a little bit is Farls is running a little bit of that hybrid defense. That's, I almost just relived that pick at the end of the half against you. I should play with the Vikes against Mole.
We're back here now in this one.
Take Mole's hand.
So right now Mole is struggling against that hybrid 2-man under defense.